Hey there, listeners! Welcome back to Tell by Bell, the podcast where we tell stories and share perspectives. This season, we're diving into poetry again, specifically the ones from the SPM, English Literature Syllabus, or Code 2206. We'll read them, break them down, and maybe even have a few aha moments together. So, if you love poetry, or even if you're just trying to survive the exam, you're in the right place. Settle in, stay curious, and let's make poetry feel a little less like homework and a lot more like a conversation. Last episode, we met Marlowe's shepherd, selling us a dream of perfect love. But today, we're shifting gears. Instead of love for another person, we're talking about love for a moment, a feeling, a memory. Let me start with a little story. A while ago, I had one of those days. You know, the kind where everything feels off. Work, stress, life. I remember I was driving home, mind on autopilot, barely noticing the road ahead. It was just one of those get me home already moments. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. This tree, completely covered in bright yellow flowers. I must have driven past that spot 100 times and never noticed. But that day, it stopped me in my tracks. I actually slowed down, almost without thinking. For a moment, everything else faded away. The stress, the noise, the to-do list. It didn't fix anything, but it did give me a breather. And here's the funny part. I didn't think much of it at the time. Just a nice moment. But later, when I was back home, feeling drained as usual, that image of the yellow blossoms suddenly popped into my head. And you know what? It actually made me smile. It was like my mind had captured and saved that moment, ready to pull it out when I needed it most. And I think that's exactly what Wordsworth is talking about in Daffodils. Let's take a listen. Daffodils by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that flows on higher over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretch out in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not help but be gay in such a jocund company. I gaze and gaze, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. Dear listeners, do you see the connection? Wordsworth starts off lonely as a cloud, just drifting along, a little disconnected from the world. Does it sound familiar? And then boom, he stumbles upon a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Not just a few flowers, thousands, dancing in a breeze. Like nature itself was throwing a little party just for him. But here's the interesting part. In a moment, he gazed and gazed, but didn't realize how much it meant. It's only later, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, that the memory comes rushing back. Suddenly, his heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. It's such a relatable experience, isn't it? I mean, the best moments often sneak up on us. We don't usually realize how special they are until we're looking back, wishing we'd pay more attention. So what's the main takeaway here? If Marlowe's shepherd last episode taught us to question perfect promises, Wordsworth is teaching us to notice perfect moments, the ones that don't ask for attention, but leave a lasting impact anyway. The themes, well, nature, memory, solitude, and the quiet joy that comes from within. And the techniques, Wordsworth keeps it simple and song-like with iambic tetrameter. He personifies the daffodils, calling them dancing and tossing their heads. He also uses alliteration like beside the lake, beneath the trees. The repetition of the consonant B sound creates a soft, rhythmic flow that mirrors the gentle, peaceful setting Wordsworth is describing. Everything feels light, musical, and easy to picture. But the real magic is that inward eye, the mind's ability to turn an ordinary moment into a well of happiness we can revisit anytime. So here's my challenge for you. Keep an eye out for your own daffodils. It might not be flowers. It could be a quiet sunrise, a laugh with a friend, or even just a moment of peace after a long day. Pay attention, because those little moments, they're the ones that stick with you. Alright, that's it for today's poetic journey. If you've enjoyed this, make sure to tune in next time as we explore another poem from the SPM English Literature. Until then, keep reading, keep noticing, and don't underestimate the power of a single beautiful moment. See you next time on Tell the Bell. I'm your host, Bella Wee.